All right, welcome to another very exciting episode of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Let's go. All right, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal podcast. As I said before, I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Happy Wednesday, hump day, January 22nd on this cold and it's sunny out, but it's very, very cold. It's about 15 degrees here in Philadelphia, but I'm inside, staying inside, hunkering down and not doing much of anything today. But but it's glad to be back with a new episode, new week, new episode. And I have a returning guest back on the show for the first time in, I think we just said a couple years, actually. So I'm very excited to have this conversation with her, catch up with her, and see what she's been up to. So I'm not going to keep her much longer, but you can follow the show on all the major podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple. We're also on the Roku channel, Roku TV, BS3 Network, BS3TVLive.com. You can download the app, like I said, on the Roku channel and follow the entire network. We got shows for just about everything, sports and media and business and cooking. You can find something there on the network. I think we have over like 40 podcasts on the network. So we have something for everybody and everything too. So, but you can follow me on at Get the Real Deal on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I think that's all. That's all out that I'm on. So follow me there as well. So without further ado, I'm welcoming my guest here, Amanda Banks. What she does a little bit of everything: speaker, host, entrepreneur, business owner. I think I got it all. I believe you do a little of everything. So Amanda, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. It's been, like you said, several years since we last chatted. It's been a while since I've been on a live episode recording. So this will be fun to dive into conversation, and looking forward to hearing what you've been up to as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I think the last podcast we did was 23. I was looking back, and it's been a while. So I said I gotta reach out. I've been seeing you've been doing a couple of different changes over the last couple of years, and like I said, you're an organizer. You do you help. You just your branding. You do a lot of everything. So again, thank you for coming on the show again live here, and happy New Year to you and your family as well.
Yeah, happy New Year. And I guess that this is the challenge with a creative entrepreneur, right? Is we like to do all sorts of different types of creative projects and dive into different types of things. I really have kind of specialized this year. So I've operated as a generalist for many years, and this year I'm more leaning into specialization, which is fun. And if it's events, education, or experiences, I'm your lady. So if you're tuning in and those three things are of interest to you, hopefully I can inspire or encourage you to dive into those areas on this chat.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll start there. Let's start there and get into as you said, this year, a couple of different changes of what you're doing and everything too. So let everyone know some of your background. Like I said, it's been a couple of years. I know the background, but let our listeners know since I've known you for the last few years. But let the listeners know a little bit about who Amanda Banks is and your background and where you are today.
Yeah, so me as a human being, I'm a mom, a wife, I am a creative, and I really love to bring ideas, so creative ideas, to life and make meaningful impact and change. I come from a corporate background, so I come from healthcare and technology, transitioned into entrepreneurship in 2020 due to a tornado that destroyed my daughter's school. So that forced a little bit of a different change in path, which has been a blessing. So lots of highs and lows. I've had several businesses. Good. I would say all of them have taught me a lot of really incredible lessons. And so, like I said, this year, just really honing into my craft
Yeah.
and diving deeper into events education and experiences.
Yeah, and I know how important those are. As you said, you've done events and education, and you specialize in all those things. And what made you want to transition into getting in 2025, getting into those things?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I do a lot. So I
Mhm.
speak, I coach, I
Yep.
run events, I do all sorts of things. And it's under this notion of helping individuals and businesses build influence, mainly from a digital perspective. So things like this, where you and I are having conversations and we're hopefully, driving meaningful change for somebody. But there's so many business owners that aren't tapping into media or events or speaking, and just with my background and my area of expertise, I've seen the value in which having digital influence as well as normal human influence and being
Yeah.
a good leader, what that can do to actually generate inbound opportunities and revenue to your company versus having to hunt for everything. So, I'm also a TEDx Old Hickory organizer slash license holder for a TEDx event, which we're going into our third year for that.
Okay.
And
Congratulations.
I've just seen the beauty of what bringing people together and having individuals share their ideas to generate opportunities for their businesses can do. So that's really why the area of specialty is, I've been exploring all of these different types of avenues. And I've seen the power in what bringing the right people together and creating an ecosystem of exchange can do for people.
Yeah, yeah, very important. The networking, that I know we talked about that a couple of years ago, how important that is of bringing people together and just networking and helping others try to and just build what their network is or what they want to do. And I know you've been a big part of that, just bringing people together and connecting and networking. And I talk about how important that is to network of what you do.
Well, networking, I mean, that's what I've invested a ton of
Yeah,
time,
right.
energy, and effort in. And networking is not just going to a networking event in person for a couple of hours and exchanging business cards. There's an art to this. And it's a long game art. It's not building relationships, meaningful relationships from a networking perspective is not just handing somebody a business card and having expectations that that's going to drive results and revenue, or even just a long-term friendship. To me, networking is like the key component, but there's an art to it in how I see networking, which is vastly different than how other people see that. And it's the art around how do you build long-term meaningful connections, that the space is just a curated space, but how do you actually drive those connections to build long-term relationships that produce friendships or results or business or whatever the goal is for that.
Yeah, yes. It is interesting that you said networking does build relationships and does build long-term relationships from a business standpoint and a personal standpoint too. How does that word balance? I'm gonna ask you a couple questions on that, but how does
Yeah.
that work with networking to you of business and personal relationships? Before we get into that, you got a couple of shout outs here. We got Nathan Ramasandra from the NR Hour says, hi, Courtney and Amanda. Thanks for
There.
tuning in. Always a loyal listener. And he says that networking is very important in any industry. Yeah, sports and any industry. And he said, you are the best. So, yes, yes.
Thanks.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
mean, if you think about it, Courtney, so you reached out to me a couple of years ago to be a
mhm,
featured guest on your podcast, right?
yeah,
And we've continued to follow each other, right? And here we
right.
are again. So I think oftentimes people miss the notion of like, oh, I'm just going to reach out to somebody and maybe have this like one interaction, which is a transactional relationship. And there's times and places for that. But to me, people are people. Like, I just want to get to know individuals. I want to see how I can show up and serve. And it takes work. Like,
Yeah.
true networking is and building relationships takes energy and effort. And it's that continuous, reaching out or even doing things like this every once in a while that
Right.
continues to foster the relationship.
Yeah, and I remember you were doing some live podcasting and live things when you were doing that on LinkedIn actually, and I remember the coming into the chat and really, like I said, following each other. And you said we follow each other in 2023, and that goes where it said goes where the long term relationship is long term. Relationship when it comes to networking on a professional level as well. And we know a little bit about each other personally too. But I think it goes, like you said, I think it goes hand in hand with professional and personal. Just depends how much you want to share and things like that. But because some we do overshare, some of us overshare when it comes to personal things. But then that's just the way it is. That's social media. But I think it's important when you want to build that long term relationship. And like I said, we've had followed each other on social media and networked together for the last couple of years, just seeing the growth of each other and really uplifting each other with comments and just supporting and things like that. And so I think it's very important. But have you done it? You said this is your first live. You've done it in a while. Do you miss doing that, or do you have time to actually do that? Because it was very important. Like you said, it was meaningful conversations in the space that you're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, so more to come on that. Last
Okay.
year, I played around with audio rooms in LinkedIn. LinkedIn,
Okay.
is my understanding, LinkedIn no longer does audio rooms. But I always love to have this element of connection, right? And so, whether it's podcasting, whether it's in-person speaking, whether it's running workshops, which I've got a corporate workshop. I ran a corporate workshop last year. I've got another one this year. That there's always this element of connection. And so more to come on that, Courtney. There may be another live show. There may be something else down the pipe. If anybody else has, if anybody's tuning in and has some ideas, I'm always open to those ideas. So, so let me know what you think would deliver value to your audience.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because, like I said, I think this is a very important conversation of networking and leadership and things like that. But I was going to ask you about the balance. We talked about the balance of being a professional and personal networking relationship. How's the balance? We're still trying to find that balance. You said your mom, your wife, you have family, but you also have a professional career too. So how is that? How do you find that balance of doing all those things with family and having a professional career?
There's harmony. I like the word harmony a little bit better.
Okay.
I've got a kiddo in travel sports, which, to me, it's important for me to be present as much as possible. So I try to explore things from a perspective of harmony. Sometimes I'm really great at it, sometimes not so great at it. I will say that professional digital presence is really important. That's one of the things that I covered last year in a workshop was how do you as an individual show up digitally, because digital ecosystems do matter. These things are important. They help build credibility and influence and drive opportunities your way. But how do you create a harmony around what you share personally and the professional aspect to that? And so for me, I am 99% on the professional side. You can ask me anything business and I'm happy to jump in or to give some thoughts and feedback. But I like to live a private life as well. So, I only share a small percentage of my personal life. That's very intentional, right? I honor and I respect my family and my personal life. And so I talk very much about how do you create a digital presence, but also leverage the professional image that you want to play. And I honor that. And those are some boundaries that I have. And so there's harmony, right. In that methodology.
I love that. I love that word. I'm gonna start using that, just the harmony instead of just balance. Because I always ask my guests about the balance, and we're all different. And you're right. You said you're a very private person. Like I said, 99% of it's going to be professional at what you share, and you might share that 1%. You're thinking, okay, I want to just because you want to protect that too. You want to protect that privacy. You want to keep that to yourself, and as private. Some very public. You go through even some of the most business oriented people are very public and they want to share everything. I feel like it's. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like it's just better just to don't share everything. Just a little taste of it. Now, like I said, with my pockets, I share everything because I want to elevate it and continue to keep pushing it to the next level. So yeah, I share that. As you said, that's 99% of it. But there
Yeah.
is that 1% that said, yeah, I'll share I'll share a few things. I share a little bit more than than my wife wants me to. So I'll say that. But I like I said, we'll take a couple selfies or whatever. But I won't share everything because that's like I said, that's just something you want to keep, and you want to keep things that you said professional and private.
Well, we're multifaceted human beings, right? Like
For
we
sure.
don't, there is really not this like only personal, only professional. I tend to come when I'm communicating around the personal stuff, I try to share lessons learned. I talk a
Okay.
lot about my daughter and how, she's she plays soccer, and I'm a very proud mom, not just
Yeah.
because she does these things, but because of who she is and how she shows up. But there's a lot of lessons that I think that we can extract and learn from different experiences, both in our personal and our professional lives. And I'm totally cool with sharing some of those
Yeah.
experiences, right?
Yeah.
Like those are the things that shape who we are. And as people of service to others, I want people to be able to take those lessons that I'm learning. But I've also very strategically, so those of you that are tuning in, I'm super active on LinkedIn. Like my LinkedIn is very
Yeah.
active. It's pretty open, but my Facebook and my Instagram is a closed network. Why? Because I share more personal things on those networks. And I tend to just look at things from a more professional lens in this networking ecosystem to bring it back to networking.
Yes, and at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Bringing it back to the networking. I agree 100% with that. And I think that's always finding that harmony of trying to find a balance of what to share, what not to share, and but you said you're a proud mom, so you want to share a little bit and be excited, and you're excited about that, and you have all that right to be excited and say, hey, I want to, yeah, I want to. Show that my kid is doing positive things, and I want to share that. So I think that's amazing too.
Yeah, she plays travel sports. She plays soccer. She's a goalkeeper, which
Yeah.
goalkeepers, in my opinion, are different. They are different breeds.
Right.
I was a gymnast, which was very much an individual sport. So I am personally learning through the lens of her experiences, team
As a
oriented
team, right.
information. So there's things like that I pick up on that can bring value to other people, and so those are the types of things that I tend to share.
For sure, for sure. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, I got just a few more, and like I said, I knew we were gonna have a great conversation, just catching up and things like that. I wanted to ask you about, and now you're the founder of Create and Innovative Solutions. Discuss what that is, its mission, and the services.
Yeah, so it's all geared around events, education, and
Okay.
experiences.
Yep. Hmm.
So if it taps into those three things, reach out to me. I'm a good resource to either help provide resources for you or point you in a good direction. I'm hosting all sorts of fun things. So I've got an event coming up. I'm happy to drop some info about. So Avery Williamson is one of my clients, a former Tennessee Titan. He's got his WOW Studios is launching in Milan, Tennessee. So we're currently working on that event, which is a lot of fun.
Okay.
We're going to be celebrating Avery and everything that he's got going on, going from the league and now running this WOW Studios business which is really exciting. So things like that. If you're looking for speakers or, people that are willing to share their message, I run a TEDx Old Hickory event. So I know amazing speakers. And like I said, anything that has to do with events, education, and experiences, like reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation.
For sure, yeah. No, I'm excited for like you said, what you're doing and everything too. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, let me know. We can always if you have any events like that, I'll definitely support for sure.
Yeah.
Anytime if you travel that far up
Well, of
to the
course, let's
East Coast.
collaborate. Like
Yeah,
Let's collaborate.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place, so would love to figure out what we can dream up and deliver value to other people in the area as well.
Yeah, we can do that for sure. You were on a recent podcast earlier discussing positive intent, and they said let's start that conversation. I wanted to ask you about that of positivity and which is so needed, which is so needed these days. But in on that level, what is positive intent? Or like you discussed that, but talk a little bit about that and what that entails.
Yeah, I think as leaders, we're all going to make mistakes, right? Like there's
Yeah.
failures, there's things that pop up, there's difficult conversations that need to be had. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I like to believe that most people carry positive intent in what they're trying to do, meaning they're doing their absolute best. They may have said something wrong, they may have made a mistake, they may
Mm,
have failed in something,
right.
but I'd like to believe, and this is me living in a kindness and joyful bubble. I'd like to believe that most people have positive intent in what they're doing, and so I think that that's really important, especially in where we're at today. Is like, where does kindness, where does compassion, where does joyful leadership, where does heart-centered leadership, where do all of these things play into our organizations or play into our lives as individual leaders? And I think a lot of conflict happens because we believe that the person doesn't have positive intent,
Mm.
right? If we come to conversations with positive intent, knowing that, hey, this person probably is doing the absolute best that they can, we can have a conversation and figure out a solution for that. So I can't remember the exact context and what I
Yeah.
said, but hopefully that addresses the question.
Yeah, I was listening and I think that's what you did say something of that. I had wrote it down and that's why I wanted to ask you about that. Cause I thought it was a great answer on that because you're right. I believe in a lot of ways when we'll just take sports for instance, and then someone says something on media or to the media and they it might be taken out of context or but you're right, they might have just be answering the question and it is a positive intent of what they were trying to say. It's just they couldn't word it right, or at that moment, maybe they're coming from a game or something like that. I think that's what usually happens. And but I think they were in a positive intent, but maybe it was just a moment of, maybe coming off of the loss or something like that, or you just caught them at the wrong time. And then they usually come back and either apologize or just say, I didn't mean it that way. So I think that's a good way of saying, they had positive intent. It was just maybe the timing was just not the right time.
Yeah, and one of the questions is like, what did you mean by that? Like,
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
I think that like, and these are lessons that I'm having to learn, right? Like conflict management, conflict resolution. As a business owner, like we're constantly solving problems. So I think asking, those questions, if somebody says something, or even if on social media, like
Mm, yeah,
video clips can be had, or you can say something that just doesn't resonate with somebody, like I think simply going an extra step there and saying, what did you mean by that? Like
yeah.
knowing that both people are probably carrying positive intent, like media is crazy right now.
Yes.
Um, and I'm very mindful of that because I do a lot of speaking and a lot of podcasts
Hmm.
that nature. But like I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna piss somebody off at some point. Like, but
Yeah,
I didn't
right.
mean for it to do that. Like, I'm carrying positive intent into the conversation. So I think that that's just a good lesson to carry on into leadership and in collaborating with other people.
Yeah, and I think even like where the space you're in and what you do, it is like I said, media is crazy. It is media is off the charts right now over the last few years. But and we both have public and we have the platforms here, and we're out here, and they said you might say something that someone might probably won't like, or we might have didn't like I said didn't mean it in that way, but. Uh, it is I think it's a great step to say, okay, what did you mean? Let's take it a step further and explain yourself even more in a deeper conversation, kind of like what we're having now. I think
Yeah.
that would help. That definitely would help on the media side for sure, because you have it we'll just talk about the media side and social media in itself. Someone can put out a tweet or a post and say something, and they're like, uh-oh, and then now it's a firestorm, it's a breakout. It's like, uh-oh, what's going on with the, what are they saying? And then maybe they meant that, maybe they meant what they said, but I agree. I think sometimes it's just some things are just taken out of context. And everything.
I think we're getting a snapshot in time. I think it's very
Mhm.
important to remember that media, you're getting a very small snapshot in
Right.
time. And so you don't know, like people that are watching that may not know me, I may say something that triggers them based on their past experiences. So there's all of this complexity. And once again, I like to think people carry positive intent. That's the way that I approach life. And so just going a step further of like, what does that actually mean to you? Or like, where is this coming from?
Right.
Can be helpful.
Yeah, very, very much helpful for sure. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I enjoyed that. And I said I got to give even more deeper into that conversation. But you got a question in the chat, says about what is your favorite moment in your journey so far? Good question.
So that's an interesting question. Thanks for asking it. I would say so. TEDx Old Hickory has been really interesting for me. That entire experience has forced me to think about things differently, to organize things differently, to help develop people differently. So I do the coaching for the speakers for that event. And it's really helped me understand the importance around ideas and how to formulate ideas. So I love watching people, especially leaders at the top of their game. So some of our speakers have been some of the world's leading experts in their field. I've loved watching them reframe how they actually, like what information they want to share to the world and how they share that information. So that's been from a professional standpoint in the past couple of years, that's been an amazing experience for me. One of my favorites. I will say some upcoming experiences that I'm really excited about is Herbert Flighttime Lang and I are running a corporate workshop. We're still working on all the details, specifically geared around teamwork. He's a 18-year Harlem Globetrotter, former Harlem Globetrotter, 3-year amazing race contestant, amazing human being. And I'm super excited about collaborating with him on that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're still working on all of the details, but I'm just excited. That's like one thing in my professional life right now that I'm just super stoked about.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. You said you're working with a lot of
Yeah.
different people, a lot of different clients, and just and the events and everything too. So you got a lot on your plate coming up in the
Yeah.
next this year, because that was going to be one of my questions of of what you're working on in 2025. So I'll say that for the last one. But you went to I think it was called what, the CSE networking.
Yeah, it was
uh,
CES, so the
CES,
Consumer
yes, yes, yes,
Electronics
yeah.
Show.
Mhm.
I am no representative of CES in any way, shape, or form, just
Yeah.
saying that. But I think that they had like 140,000 people in
Wow.
attendance. And it was incredible. It's specifically geared towards the consumer electronics industry.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going with, a good friend and strategic partner of mine. So we were doing client acquisition and business development, and then also evaluating all the technologies that are out there on the market. And let me tell you, I was not prepared for that level of experience.
Right.
And I think that that's another thing from, just tying it back to networking, that is really important is as business owners and leaders, we have to get ourselves into different environments that are going to push us to learn and to challenge our ways of thinking. And so CES was just really cool for me. I got to see drones and robots and all sorts of other advanced technologies, so that it gives me like kind of a pulse of what's happening in the market and where technology is heading, as well as consumer electronics. And it was amazing. It was so cool to go.
Yeah, I mean the next level of technology and electronics. Just watching. I do watch a lot of things on like YouTube and things like that when it comes to technology, the innovative of technology and the growth of it. It's like it's So it's amazing of some of the things that you see, and I'm sure with a with an event like that, especially, you get to see the next level of what's coming up. I mean, you could talk about just with cell phones in itself, and laptops, and not even just that. You said I robots and things like this. It's getting. I couldn't even imagine how things look, from 10 years ago to what it is today when it comes to the technology and electronics.
Self-driving vehicles,
Yeah, right. Yes.
shout out. I don't know if anybody from John Deere is listening, but their booth was really cool. They had all the cool toys. And,
Yeah.
I think that, immersing yourself in those types of experiences is really important as a leader, because once again, it pushes your like where you're at and your ways
Yes.
of thinking, and it
Hmm.
gets you to start thinking about things differently. So CES was great. I ended up walking the floor by myself for hours. So there were so many different areas, and I ended up walking the floors to just kind of look at the technologies, talk to people, learn about what they're experiencing and
Yeah.
learning. I asked a lot of questions to just smaller vendors. So the big vendors, they had huge booths, like absolutely
Yeah, I'm
huge
sure.
booths. And so I spent a lot of time going to like the smaller vendors to just ask them, what are your current challenges right now? What are you seeing in your industry? What are some things that you guys are facing? Just to get a good pulse on the broad landscape of the consumer electronics industry right now. And it was fascinating.
Yeah, and like you said, you got a chance to kind of walk around by yourself, and I think that's even. I think when you go to anything like an event like that or an expo, and you are just kind of, you're able to really engage and really see the big picture, because you said there's a lot of booths, and when you go to these expos, a lot of booths that are just, they got lines, and you might not have a chance to really interact with people and things like that. But to be said, small businesses, you were able to interact and really ask questions, and really engage with that network again. And those are the important thing. That's been the theme.
Yeah,
Networking,
that's a good thing.
yeah, is important.
Yeah.
So
And some of these small businesses are just running some of the most innovative technologies and
mhm,
or innovative products that you can imagine. And
yeah,
that's the cool thing is, you know, um, spending time focusing on those companies to just like, what are you into right now? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, there's so many cool voice technologies. There's so many cool
yeah,
media technologies. Technology is the core of basically everything that we're doing.
yeah,
And what
yeah.
some of these small businesses are running is just absolutely, it's inspiring. Like, it's inspiring to watch these people be able to launch these types of organizations.
Yeah, and you're right. The technology of just everything. It like we have technology now. We're doing this right now on a laptop or a phone
Yeah.
and microphone and headphones. I mean, I love seeing like all the new, like I said, the new things that they come out with each and every year. Like every month there's something new, and it's hard to catch up on everything, but it's great to see where it's going, where technology is going, when it comes to that. So, all right, last one before I let you go, I wanted to just ask you. You kind of hit on it a little bit of 2025. What's in store for you? What you can announce? You did announce a few things you got coming up, but
Yeah.
what do you have? Any like the projects you're looking into to accomplish, or anything like that?
Yeah, we're running another TEDx Old Hickory event for
Okay.
2025. I was going to say 2023 because it's stuck in my
that's
mind
what
how
we
much
that's what we
that
talk.
meant.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
we're running another one. So shout out to the TEDx Old Hickory committee and team. Like, everybody involved in that experience is just incredible human beings at the top of
Yeah.
their game. So I'm really excited about that. We're taking speaker applications. So I oftentimes people try to reach out to me directly for speaker requests. Head on over to the website, tedxoldhickory.com. If you're interested in speaking, that's the best place to go, because I will point you in that direction, just because we have a committee that evaluates those applications. So I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about the studios launch. That's really fun. I am pumped about this corporate workshop, and we're doing a joint workshop, joint keynote, joint emceeing for between Herb and I. So I'm just excited about the adventures this year. This year for me, my word is inspired. So anything, once again, that has to do with events, education, or experiences and bringing ideas to life and highlighting other amazing people, that's my vibe. So if that resonates with you, just reach out. Look forward to having conversations and exploring ways that I can serve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like I said, I'm glad that we got to do this again. We can't wait another 2 years. We have to at least do another one, at least before the year is out. So I'm glad I got to catch you at the beginning of the year before I know it's gonna get busy.
Well,
just
I want to ask you, like, can I ask you a question too?
Sure. Yeah.
What about you? So this is your audience and you're always highlighting other people. So like, what are you jazzed up about this year, and what can people expect from Courtney this year?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a very good question. Well, I have a word too. I'm doing my word was accountability this year. And it's about just, being accountable on everything that I'm doing. Just to if there's any like even criticism or anything like that, like I said, I'm taking a positive spin on it and just being accountable. If someone wants to hold me accountable of something I said or something that I've done or anything like that, I want to be held accountable. So I think that's my word for 2025. Just really elevating and trying to push this, the podcast to different levels. Now I'm really want to take it to be paid and to, so that's a goal of mine in 2025. You want to get into more events. I went to Super Bowl last year, which was huge. I mean, that was a dream come true.
That was absolutely insane.
Yes, it was very insane. And you talk about, like I said, like expos and things like that. Went to Media Row. That's the big Super Bowl media week. Got a chance with the network. Got a chance to interview. I mean, we interviewed so many people, and just the experience. Got a chance. My wife got to come with me on that experience, so that was great. I'm not going this year. Got some things coming up with our anniversary. It's celebrating our 20 years this year. Thank you. Yeah, that's a huge thing. So we're saving up for a trip to Hawaii in August. So that's a huge that's the one thing we're doing. So I'm trying not to do so much traveling before. It's been hard. I want to do some more. I wanted to go to Super Bowl. I want to do all these things, but that's important. So I got that. I want to get into some merchandising with the podcast. So yeah, it's those are some of the things that I'm trying to accomplish in 2025.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. The cool thing and what you offer is there's so many people that launch podcasts that don't follow through with the longevity of them. Like, I think, was it 6 episodes? I can't remember, so don't quote me on this, but like, there's data done about people launching podcasts and how long they actually hold those podcasts. And like the vast majority of people quit very quickly. So you've been running this thing forever. How long have you been running this show? Like 6 years?
Yeah, I started podcasting in 2015. So 2015, 2016. So 9-10 years. I've reformatted it. The real deal one, this one has been 7 years, 7 years now. So it's been growing and continues to grow. And like I said, I've done so much with it and had so many great guests, and everything. So I love doing it. And again, being accountability of trying to be as consistent as possible. I think that's been one of the main things of focuses on is staying accountable and continue with the podcast. And yeah, I enjoy it. I really do.
Well, you are crushing it. And if anybody is listening that can support your efforts in that, please reach out to Courtney. He's got it going. He's been doing it for a long time. Happy to plug that there.
I appreciate the play. I appreciate, like I said, our friendship, our relationship, and the network we've done over the last few years. So I really do appreciate everything you got going on. And like I said, many blessings to you too, and everything, and with launching things and doing these events. And I know it's a lot of hard work, but like I said, I'm in the background, and I'm like, Amanda's always got something going on, and I appreciate that what you're doing and everything too. So, but You got another shout out. Say they want to get Nathan wants
Let's
have you on
go.
the show. Yeah, she said reach out whenever you can. So he said we should do a show together. Anytime. I mean, 'cause I know he has his podcast, and I've been on his podcast, and we talk almost every day with him. So we'll try to get something together for sure. But I appreciate you, Amanda, for the kind words, and appreciate your time. Let everyone know where they can follow you on social media. Like I said, you're more in, and I've been getting in LinkedIn a lot too. So LinkedIn's seems like the spot to network and things like
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
So
LinkedIn is a professional network, so to
it
me,
is.
it like keeps some of the creepers at bay. Like
Yes.
that's the truth. There is it's a more professional oriented network. So I've just learned how to navigate that, and I've built a little bit of influence on that platform. I've still got a lot of work to do, but LinkedIn is the easiest way to find me on social. You can also head to my website, so www.amanda-banks.com. There's all sorts of fun stuff and ways to get in contact with me there as well.
Yes, and I've enjoyed this conversation. I loved it. It was very inspiring. Use your word, very inspiring. And oh no, but it was definitely inspiring, and definitely a great conversation that we had about networking. You said, and events, education, and experience. That's the theme of the year, and uh, yeah, that's the theme, and stay inspired. Again, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate this, and I will have this shared with you probably by either later today or tomorrow. So everyone that wants to listen to the playback, it'll be on all our socials: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. So again, thank you, Amanda, and we'll have to do this again, and it won't be 2 years this time. I'll reach out, and we'll do this later in the year as well.
Well, sounds good. I just got on another podcast I did. We're making it an annual episode.
Yes.
So that was the theme, was like we were at our third year. We're just making it an annual episode. So I'm grateful for your time, and appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, everyone follow Amanda, the website, LinkedIn, and follow me on all social media platforms as well. So everyone enjoy the rest of the day and enjoy the week. Stay warm stay warm, stay safe. And as always, God bless.